out. This one.
Alrighty.
I'm not gonna do it without it.
Don, you can see, you can now mute and unmute people, right?
I can now, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Brian. I appreciate it. Shabbat shalom.
Yes. So I was supposed to be in Cape May with my friend celebrating his 60th birthday.
Really, how's that going?
So we have a virtual thing tonight. So that's what.
Be nice.
Yeah.
Let's enjoy it. And thank you.
All right.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah, I'm going to.
Hello, Howie. Hi, Robin.
You? I gotta get the Robin.
Well, no, there's another Robin on here. It's
Yeah.
not
Hi.
this other.
Oh, different Robin. Okay. Hi, Robin.
Hey, Hal.
How you doing, Shanette?
Street.
I saw your sons walking by. They look terrific.
Oh, yeah. Everyone's fabulous.
I seriously, I mean, I almost didn't recognize them. I forget which one. I swear to you, I didn't know who.
It must have been Mark because he's not usually around here. So he's been here since March.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. How are you, Kindler?
That's terrific.
Good.
Terrific.
Good.
Absolutely dynamite.
Good. That's good to hear.
I gotta go.
Hi, Larry.
Mort, is the beard gone?
No, it's there.
Oh, part of it's gone. I thought, wasn't that a bigger beard, Mort?
No, it's, I don't know. I don't know whether I like it or don't like it, but I'll see. Meanwhile, I'm having fun. It's a conversation piece.
Got it. Hello, everybody. Shabbat shalom. We're waiting.
Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom.
The next time I'll take this away. I want to change it to.
Suzanne, am I the last one to send in the clip that you're going to put all together? Hi.
Did you send it, Shira?
Not quite yet.
No,
Oh,
meaning no.
okay. I didn't check the folder today. I got in like about an hour ago.
Here we go.
I'll
I
check
haven't,
it.
I have not sent it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I'll check it later.
Okay, no.
I haven't.
The person who is a phone number 346-509, whoever that is. May I ask who that is?
I don't know.
It says Gail's name before it.
Let's say Gail.
It
Okay,
says Gail.
Gail there, because it's an odd picture and it just makes me worried. So,
No, she's there.
Fingers
Oh, yeah, I
crossed.
see her.
She's there.
Hey, everybody.
Good evening, everybody. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Once again, we'll give people just a minute or two extra to find their way online. Hi, everybody. Shabbat shalom. Welcome.
Shabbat shalom.
Just a couple of minutes.
Want to move over so you can be seen? So I'm the only one being seen from the class. Yes. Miriam.
Hi.
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 He's
Hi,
here. He's just
everybody.
out of the picture.
I never get in the picture.
Well, if you move over, you could get it.
Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Huh?
Shabbat shalom.
We're giving everybody a couple of minutes to make it through traffic and everything else. It's okay. I just want to know who's here, right?
I took it out of the
You
refrigerator.
did. Okay.
You like to share it?
It's not the air. Goodness, gonna-
It's Karen.
Just say I want something to drink. It's good. It's all good. Oh, boy. Actually, I'm gonna do Eila Hamdalibi, just to
Okay.
say, let's all
It's good.
appear, don't
Tomorrow night, they have more, we do it again. Confirmation. Big deal.
All right, we're going to get started, so I will mute everybody. And after the service, of course, we'll unmute everyone for whoever would like to schmooze. So we hope you'll do that. Shabbat shalom. Welcome to the end of a week that, at least as far as the weather, was beautiful. Okay, would you grab that right there? By far the nicest week we had in a while, and I hope you got out of your house to look at it. It's important to get out of your house and walk around and get air. It really, really does matter. And now we're going to welcome Shabbat. Since you're all in your homes, I hope you have some way of looking out a window just to see. It's not dark yet, and just to be able to appreciate the beauty that's outside. Last Friday night, Shira was crawling under the table. It was storming here so intensely that I'm very proud of her because she stayed right here in this seat the
I
whole
take
time.
care of all the bugs. I'm good with bugs. Lightning and thunder.
It was an impressive storm. She had good reason to do that. So now it's a Friday evening and it's gentle and the sun is out and we can welcome Shabbat. Everything is starting to grow. Everything is flowering, and God's beauty is there for us to see, even in the middle of this pandemic. So I hope, if you didn't, that you will give yourself time tonight or tomorrow to get out and say your own bracha for creation. That's what Shabbat is all about. So let's begin.
We begin on page 129. Eila Chamda Libi. God is my heart's desire. Appear, do not hide. I thought that was a great way to begin our service, especially since we see all of you. Eila Hamda Libi, Hosanna la'anat titalah, Eile Hamda, Hamda Libi, Husana ve'anati tanem. Eile Hamda, Hamda Libi, Husana ve'anati tanem. Eile Hamda Libi, Husana ve'anati tanem. Eile Hamda, Hamda Libi, Husana ve'anati tanem. Eile Hamda, Hamda Libi, Husana ve'anati tanem. And now, because I just happen to love it, and I think about this when we begin services to open our hearts. It's Sheldon Lowe's Ptach Libi. You can find the Hebrew words on page 130. Ptach libi betoratecha uvmitzvotecha. Ptach libi tirdof nafshi. Again. Ptach libi betoratecha uvmitzvotecha. Ptach libi tirdof nafshi. Open my heart, let me know, let me live. Learn how to give, learn how to give. Open my soul, every blessing reminds me your love will find me, your love will find me. Ptach, ptach, libi betoratecha uvmitzvotecha. Ptach, ptach, libi tirdof nafshi.
This Shabbat also begins the weekend of Memorial Day. This is the first Memorial Day in my memory that was not simply a shopping day. People are not running out to the malls for the specials on Monday. And once again, that's not the worst idea we've ever had. Perhaps we'll take some time this weekend to think about the gifts of freedom, to think about the responsibilities of freedom. There are people right now who are saying that self-sacrifice is not consistent with the United States understanding of freedom. I find that very hard to believe. I find it hard to believe because my father, may he rest in peace, went into the army in 1941. There were 2,000 people in his battalion. 9 of them made it to the end of the war. 9. The rest came home in coffins, in ambulances, in pain, in ways that we, please, will never know. Sacrifice was always part of what it meant to be an American. And on this Memorial Day, as we remember them, let's not cheapen their memory by just waving a flag and saying we're done. Let's take them into our hearts. And remember that putting on a mask when you go into a store is not that great a sacrifice when it comes to the sacrifices that people made, that people are making right now. So I hope we can use this Memorial Day for something other than 30% off on lawn furniture, and instead take some time to be grateful, to appreciate, to say thank you to those who paid the ultimate gift, the ultimate price for our freedom. So in the freedom that we have, we join in lighting Shabbat candles and saying that Shabbat has begun and that we have this time to appreciate life. Page 121 and 120. O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives. Bless all who enter this sanctuary in need, all who bring the offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead us to acts of kindness, peace, and love.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu להדליק של השעה.
Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat. And once again, I'll remind you that if you don't have a Siddur, if you don't have a prayer book, please write to me, write to Tamima Grinwald and say, we'd like to arrange to pick one up, and we'll arrange for you to pick up one or more at a home in Marlborough. They'll be sanitized before you receive them. We'll be doing this clearly for at least the next several weeks. I don't know how long we'll be doing this, but having a book is certainly going to make it easier, and I hope you'll take advantage of that, no charge, so that you can participate. We continue with Baruch Hu on page 146. Please rise if you're able.
Ya la 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 la, 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 ya la 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 la. Baruch et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed Le'olam Va'ed Yalalai Lalai Yalalai Lalai Yalalai Lalai Yalalai Lalai Yalalai Lalai Yalalai Lalai Yalla lai lai lai, yalla lai lai lai.
Page 148. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzvaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'ma'ariv aravim.
Page 150. אהבת עולם, בית ישראל, עמך אהבת, תורה ומצוות, חוקים ומשפטים, אותנו לימדת. על כן אדוני אלוהינו, בשוכבנו ובקומנו, נשיח בחוקיך, ונשמח דברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד, כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נגד יומם ולילה, יומם ולילה. אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים, ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. ברוך שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד. Page 154. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך, ושיננתם לבניך בליבך, בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להוד על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
156. All this we hold to be true and trustworthy for us. You alone are our God, and we are Israel, your people. You are our sovereign and Savior, who delivers us from oppressors' hands and saves us from tyrants' fists. You work wonders without number, marvels beyond count. You give us life and steady our footsteps. You perform miracles for us before Pharaoh, signs and wonders in the land of the Egyptians. You led your people Israel out from their midst to freedom for all time. When your children witnessed your dominance, they praised your name in gratitude, and they accepted your sovereignty. Moses, Miriam, and all Israel sang to you together, lifting their voices joyously.
Mi hamocha ba'alim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, mi hamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh.
Norah, Oseh, Norah, Oseh, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed.
מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקע ים לפני משה ומרים. זה אלינו והמרו, זה אלינו והמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד.
On the facing page, sing the song of men and women joined in understanding and respect, the song of God's miracles, an earth protected and cherished, a gift for our children and the generations to come, the song of a land once ravished by war, now quiet and content, her soldiers home to leave no more, the song of a world redeemed, the song of peace.
Pages 161, which is the English, and 160, which is the Hebrew. Let there be love. Hashkivenu. Let there be love and understanding understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu, Leshalom. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu, Leshalom. Vehamidenu, Shomrenu L'chaim. Ufros aleinu, Sukat Shlomecha. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu, Leshalom. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storm.
On page 165 is a reading that I love, one of the ones from Gates of Prayer, and it serves as the introduction to the Amidah, which is on 164 and then the even number pages. So after we read this, please rise. Prayer invites God's presence to suffuse our spirits, God's will to prevail in our lives. Prayer may not bring water to parched fields, nor mend a broken bridge, nor rebuild a ruined city. But prayer can water an arid soul, mend a broken heart, and rebuild a weakened will. Please rise.
Adonai. Ananana svatai tifta. Ananana ufi yagid. Ufi yagid tehilatecha. Ananana Adonai. Ananana svatai tifta. Ananana ufi yagid. Ufi yagid tehilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak v'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel v'Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor Hanoha Elyon Gomer Chasadim Tovim וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם, בעזרת שרה, אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיה הכל אתה רב להושיע, ומוריד הטען, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיה הכל ברחמים רבים, תומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו, בשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גדולות ומדומך מלך ממית ומחיין ומצמיח ישועה ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל ברוך אתה אדוני מחיה הכל.
You are holy, your name is holy, and those who are holy praise you every day. Blessed are you, Adonai, the holy God. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh.
We continue on the top of page
173.
173. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat.
Page 175. You are with us in our prayer, our love, and our doubt, in our longing to feel your presence and do your will. You are the still, clear voice within us. Therefore, O God, when doubt troubles us, when anxiety makes us tremble, when pain clouds the mind, we look inward for the answer to our prayers. There may we find you, and there find courage, insight, and endurance. And let our worship bring us closer to one another, that all Israel and all who seek you may find new strength for your service. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otcha levadcha v'yirah na'avod. 177. God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth which day by day sustains us. For all this and more, we offer thanks. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha, v'lecha na'eh lahodot.
We continue on page 178 with the singing of Shalom Rav. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, tasim le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, tasim le'olam. Ki ata hu melech Adon lechol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech Adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, tasim le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, tasim le'olam. V'tov be'enecha levahem et amacha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, tasim le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, tasim le'olam. Tasim le'olam. Tasim le'olam. We take a few moments to find the words that sometimes we can't even utter. We share them with God. Page 180. Imrefi והגיון ליבי לפניך אדוני צורי גואלי אדוני צורי וגואלי אדוני צורי Be the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable unto you. Be acceptable unto you. Adonai, our rock and our Redeemer. Adonai, our rock and our Redeemer. Amen.
Our prayer for healing is on page 371. In a moment, I'm going to unmute everybody and ask you to say aloud the names of the ones whom you're praying for. And it will be a cacophony of sound, and that's perfectly fine because all the names intertwine. And so please take a minute to think of those among your family and your friends who are in need of healing. And then please add all the people who have fallen ill. And then please add all the people who are out working to allow us to live our lives. So we will unmute everybody and ask you to say the names of the people you're thinking of.
Ruth, Elaine Friedel, Lee Friedel,
Harriet K.
Jody
K.
Aldana Ambler,
Richard
and Gail Bieber,
Ken Bush,
Shirley
Kathy Piccarello,
Tara Griffin.
Eleanor, nephew David.
During this,
Craig Lee.
and all the people who had nursing homes.
Dr. Marilyn Butel.
All the people who are working. Yep. Amen.
Amanda
May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Nishabeach imotenu mikol habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Please turn now to page 376. On this Memorial Day weekend, we join together in a prayer for our country. Thus says Adonai, this is what I desire, to unlock the fetters of wickedness and untie the cords of lawlessness, to let the oppressed go free, to break off every yoke. Share your bread with the hungry, and take the wretched poor into your home. When you see the naked, give clothing, and do not ignore your own kin. If you banish the yoke from your midst, the menacing hand, the evil speech, if you offer compassion to the hungry and satisfy the famished creature, then your light shall shine in darkness. O guardian of life and liberty, may our nation always merit your protection. Teach us to give thanks for what we have by sharing it with those who are in need. Keep our eyes open to the wonders of creation and alert to the care of the earth. May we never be lazy in the work of peace. May we honor those who have died in defense of our ideals. Grant our leaders wisdom and forbearance. May they govern with justice and compassion. Help us all to appreciate one another and to respect the many ways that we may serve you. May our homes be safe from affliction and strife, and our country be sound in body and spirit.
Amen.
Shabbat Shalom. It is good to see everyone's faces. It is still a little strange to not be able to be in the same room, to not be able to share. But as I've said, there were lessons that I thought about over the past year that I really wanted to share again. And this is another one that when I decided last summer that I would speak about it on this Shabbat, I had no idea where we would be in the world. So some of you who've studied with me, especially if you've taken my history classes, you have heard already about the cork and the battleship. I'm going to review it briefly and then hopefully bring it into something that applies to us today. Some of you know that I'm a lover of history, that Shira and I both did our theses with Dr. Martin Cohen, professor of history at the Hebrew Union College, Jewish Institute of Religion. And Dr. Cohen took me from a person who couldn't stand history to someone who just loved seeing the way the world plays out. And there aren't many things that I've done that were original in the field of history, but this is one as far as I know. And that was this creation of this idea of the cork and the battleship. And so to give you an idea of what the Jewish people has been through in its 3,000 years, I believe we've been through exactly, 2 and a fraction of an epoch. The first one was the battleship, the second one was the cork, and we are back now in the battleship. And to help you understand, I'd like you to imagine out in the middle of the ocean, a fierce storm, a really, really major storm. There are 2 ways for people, for anything to go through that storm. One is you get in the biggest battleship you can find, you give it full power, you head directly into the waves, and you blast your way through the storm. And there are very, very few storms on Earth that can take down a battleship, an ocean liner, something like that. And so when we Jews began, when we came out of Egypt, we were a battleship. We were warriors. The Israelites did not simply glide through 40 years in the desert. They had to fight their way through it. They had to fight their way through people that did not want us entering or even passing through their land. We had to fight against people who tried to attack us and kill us. We had to fight against people who fought fairly and those who didn't fight fairly. And we, coming to our absolute apex with King David, we were a warrior nation. We took on the nations around us, and for the most part, we succeeded. And David built an empire that was the largest Jews have ever controlled, including much of what today is Lebanon and Syria and Jordan and maybe a little of Saudi Arabia even. David amassed an empire. And in fact, when it was time to build the temple, God said, you can't be the one to build it because your hands have blood all over them. We're going to have to wait for Solomon to come along, who is not so much a warrior, before we let him lay his hands on the holy stones that would become the temple. So this battleship served us well. We have actually a battleship holiday. We call it Hanukkah, because in its original form, Hanukkah was not in any way about a miracle of oil lasting 8 days. In fact, that story does not show up for over 800 years after Hanukkah happens. I'll explain why in a minute. No, that was a military victory. We recaptured the temple and we celebrated And so we were, through all of this, a warrior nation. When Rome arose as a power, for a long time they let us do our own thing in the land of Judah, in Judea, the land of Israel. But the Jews were really a little bit stubborn and kept saying no. Romans finally came in and wiped out the temple and allowed a small group of Jews to escape. And that group of Jews went up to the north of Israel and set out to build their own homes and schools and everything there in a place called Yavne, until a man arose by the name of Bar Kokhba. Bar Kokhba was a true Jewish warrior. He was the son of a star. That's what Bar Kokhba means. And he came along, and the rabbis of his day thought, we are seeing a repeat of what happened in Hanukkah, that a small group of Jews will be able to reclaim the temple, reclaim Jerusalem. We will be able to overthrow Rome, just as the Maccabees overthrew the Greek and Syrian army. And so this group of Jews got together and went to war against Rome. And we got wiped out. The rabbis were tortured to death in a public spectacle. The Jews were dispersed around the globe, and any hint of what we had had before in the land of Israel was destroyed. The Temple Mount was reduced to stones. Our cities were completely destroyed, and in order to show how much they had destroyed us, Rome renamed the area for our Philistine enemies. So there were no Philistines, Palestinians, until after the year 135. So no, Jesus was not a Palestinian, just to be clear. But Rome said, we are wiping you out. We are wiping away your memory. And the rabbis that survived the slaughter of the destruction of the temple, and then the absolute massacre that was the Bar Kokhba revolt, got together and said, we can't risk that again. We can never, ever allow ourselves to think that we are stronger than anyone on earth. And in spite of the fact that we have God with us, we can get killed. We can get destroyed if we do that. And so the rabbis changed us. They actually made a change. They said, no, we are not going to be a battleship. We're going to resemble a cork. Now, a cork grows in the ocean. And as you know, when a cork breaks off, it floats. And a cork will float through the largest storm that the ocean can create. Now, every time the cork gets pounded by a wave, some of it will break off. We will lose some of the cork. But the body of the cork itself will remain. It may get jammed underwater for a while, but it will, by necessity, float to the top and pop back up to the surface. And the rabbis said that we are now going to imitate a cork, not a battleship. First thing they did was to rewrite the Hanukkah story, because that's the story that got us in trouble. And they said, no, the miracle of Hanukkah was not that a small group of Jews overcame the Syrian Greek army. Not that at all. It was that God made a little bit of oil last for 8 days. And so in doing this, the rabbis did something very important. They said, Lo somchim al hanes. We're not going to rely anymore on miracles. We're going to take care of ourselves. We're going to keep our head low. And whatever happens, we're going to let it happen around us. And so when the pogroms came to Eastern Europe, Jews were told, hide in the cellar, escape to the forest, do whatever you need to do. When the pogrom is over, you'll go back, you'll rebuild your burnt house, you'll find out who was killed, and you'll bury them properly, but you're not to fight back. Now, even my father, Alav HaShalom, who was born in 1920, who grew up during the Depression, he was told, if someone comes at you and calls you anti-Semitic names or does something, walk the other way. Turn around and walk away from them. That's the instruction my father got. And he followed that instruction in spite of being called really terrible names until he went into the army. And he went to boot camp somewhere down in Fort Benning, I think that's Georgia, where people came to him and said, "Oh, you're the Jew." That was the nice thing they could say. My father very quickly found out that he needed to stand up for himself, because if he didn't, things weren't going to go well. And so I met a number of people after the war who said, "You know, your dad taught me a lot about Jews." And I said to them, "How many times did he have to beat you up?" And they usually say, "Well, once or twice, then I got the message." But it wasn't just my father. We realized something during the middle of the 20th century. We realized that while a cork can survive any storm, a cork cannot survive an inferno. That if there is a Shoah, a Holocaust, a burning, the cork will disappear. And the only thing that can stand up to a Shoah, to a Holocaust, is a battleship. And so some people went to Israel, to Palestine in the early part of the 20th century and fought their way for the land that they had purchased. Others started to fight during World War II. If you have not read the story of the Warsaw Ghetto, please go read it. Because the people of the Warsaw Ghetto, the Jews of the Warsaw Ghetto, held off the Nazis longer than Poland held off the Nazis. The Nazis had to fight to take the Warsaw Ghetto longer than they fought to take all of Poland. And we Jews suddenly realized that while the cork had served us very well, the cork had allowed us to survive from the year 135 to the year 1940. It was no longer an approach that could work. And we would need to turn back into the battleship. We saw that in World War II. We saw that in the dozens of ghetto uprisings. We saw that when the new nation that called itself Israel said, "It's nice that the United Nations voted our independence, but the only way it's going to be real is if we fight for it." And when people said, "Why don't you give up? It's not the right time. Why don't you save it for another time? You're going to anger everybody." The Jews said, "No, we're not waiting for anybody. We're not waiting for Messiah. We're doing it ourselves." And a new pride was born at that time. A new pride in being Jewish that said, you don't turn away. You stand up. And by the time I was old enough to understand, my father said to me, "You don't ever back off from a fight because you're Jewish." In fact, he said, "Don't ever fight fair." He said, "You can lose a fair fight." He said, "If someone calls you names in school, don't fight with them. Go immediately to the principal and report them for being anti-Semites. They're not going to like you. But they already don't like you. They've proved that. You're never going to make them like you, but you can make them respect you." That was the battleship talking. Not simply my father. That was the message of Israel. That was the message of all of us who stood up for Jewish pride and started wearing a Jewish star or a chai or a mezuzah. We started wearing t-shirts that had Israeli flags on it or Jewish stars. We started putting on t-shirts that had Coca-Cola banners in Hebrew. We said, "We're Jewish. You don't like it, that's your problem, that's not mine. But don't mess with us, we're the wrong people to mess with." And so in the course of the time from 1910, the first real settlements of Palestine, up to this day, we've been living in the third era of Jewish life. The battleship, the cork, and now again, the battleship. And that's the history lesson that I wanted to give you, but I've been thinking about it lately, especially as we watch what's going on in Israel, what's going on with a number of people who claim that God will protect them no matter what they do. There are Jews saying this. There are Jews saying in Israel that we can oppress our neighbors, in spite of the fact that Torah says not to do that. We can do it because God's on our side. There are people in this country who say we don't need to follow the rules that apply to keeping everyone safe because God's on our side, and if we do this, no harm will come to us or other people. The problem that the rabbis saw with what happened in the year 70 and 135, especially in the Bar Kokhba revolt, was hubris, was the sin of hubris, the sin of believing that we can't do anything wrong. God is with us, we are powerful, and we will get our way every time. We got our tails handed to us because of thinking like that. Judaism nearly died, not nearly so much in 70 as in 135, when we believed that simply we could go against history, we could go against nature, we could go against the strongest power that ever lived on this planet, which was Rome. And simply because we wanted freedom, God would be there and would deliver it for us. Ladies and gentlemen, it's not true. And now that we once again are taking on the role of the battleship, I pray that we Jews will be very, very careful about how we use this power that we have claimed for ourselves. Certainly in the United States, we have more power, more actual power than Jews have ever had in human history, including when we lived under Jewish rule. What the power, the influence that we have in this country is astonishing. And if you want proof, find out what the kids do when they go to Washington. Because our representatives make room for these kids on their schedule. They make room to talk with them, to meet with them, people across the country, people who agree with our positions, people who can't stand our positions. Badly put, the Jews are coming. Let's make an appointment. We need to see them. We need to hear them out. Why is that? It's because we are powerful in this country. So how will we use our power? How will we use our political power here? How will we use our military power in Israel? This is not a settled question. As a historian, I'll tell you that the first epoch of Jewish life, the battleship, lasted for well over 1,000 years. The second epoch, the cork, lasted nearly 2,000 years. How long will this third epoch last? Are we at the beginning of another 1,000 years of Jewish influence and Jewish power? I don't know. I do know that there are factors in the world that are beyond our control, but I do know that we need to find the balance between chutzpah, which makes us think that the impossible isn't impossible, and hubris, which makes us think that the impossible is easy. May we please, in our lives, in the lives of our children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren for generations and generations to come, accept this new responsibility, the responsibility of being a battleship in this world, and never, ever forget that God wants us to use our power for good.
So a little change of pace here. Instead of what I was going to sing, I'm going to sing 650, page 650. V'yashvu ish. Okay?
It's good.
Good.
You're singing.
Okay. 650. V'yashvu ish tachat kafno v'tachat einato v'yashvu ish tachat kafno v'tachat einato ve'ein macharid ve'ein macharid v'yashvu ish tachat kafno v'tachat einato וישרו איש תחת גפנו, ותחת תאנתו. And all shall sit under their vines and under their fig trees, and none shall make them afraid.
Amen. Amen. Page 586 in the middle of the page. Please rise for Elena.
Aleinu לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל עמונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
Page 590. When we reach the indentation, we switch to the Hebrew. A blessing for a battleship. Let all who dwell on earth acknowledge that unto you every knee must bend, and every tongue swear loyalty. Before you, Adonai, our God, and let them pay homage. Let them give glory to your honored name. Let all accept the yoke of your reign, that you may rule over us soon and forever. For sovereignty is yours, and to all eternity you will reign in glory, as it is written in your Torah. Adonai will reign forever and ever.
ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
We have a very busy week coming up. It was not a quiet week in Lake Wobegon. Tomorrow morning, of course, our Shabbat morning minyan starts at 10 a.m. To go there, it is trt.org/Saturday. That's not real complicated. Tomorrow evening at 6:30, we have our celebration of Shavuot a couple of days early, and also the confirmation of our 10th graders. We have 3 extraordinary young adults who are confirming their role and their place in Jewish life tomorrow. And I really do hope you'll join us. It is at 6:30 p.m. trt.org/confirmation service, all one word. It's on Facebook, it's on the web, but trt.org/confirmation service, doesn't matter if it's capitalized or not. We hope you'll join us. We will also include Yizkor in that service, as we do for Shavuot, to give us a chance to remember loved ones who died recently, who died years ago, who died generations ago. So we invite you to join us for that tomorrow evening. And then on Shavuot itself, which is Thursday evening and Friday during daytime, we get to be part of a really wonderful program. Here is the flyer. This is also on the TRT Facebook page and on the website. It is 2 tablets, 2 days, 10 rabbis teach 10 commandments. And 10 of the local colleagues from Monmouth and Middlesex counties have each volunteered to take one of the first 10 commandments and do 30 minutes on it online. Some of them are Thursday evening. We have a couple of traditional colleagues who wanted to do it before the holiday began, so they're not online on the holiday. And then Friday during the day, others, including Shira and I, will be doing that. Shira is at 11:30 and I'm at 12:30. All the details, you can come on for one. You can come on and spend 5 hours doing this. Feel free. It's 2.5 hours each day. You can drop in anytime you want. You can leave anytime you want. I love the idea that we have this chance to learn from so many different people all at once, all in the same place. So please, if anything, come hear the others. You've heard us talk, but come hear the others and check it out. Again, it's on the website, it's on Facebook, on the temple page, and it should be really, really fun to play with this. And we each get to do a different one. You can look and find out what we're doing. So that is both our celebration of Shavuot Saturday evening, and then that will be next Thursday and Friday. In 2 weeks from tonight, we're celebrating the graduation of our 12th graders from Hebrew High School. Their graduation was delayed, but we didn't want to delay it any longer. And so please come and congratulate the 3 students who have finished religious school through the 12th grade. If you're not impressed, I don't know why, because I am. So a lot of things going on. All of them are available. If you're not writing them down, look on Facebook, on TRT, like us if you haven't. Look on the TRT website, trt.org. Everything is there, and we hope you will join us. Also, thanks to, I think still here, Howie Gandelman. Yep, Howie, you're here. Howie wrote to me and said, you know, we have those cards in the temple in the lobby that we can send to someone when we've prayed for them, and says, hey, I was thinking of you and included you in my prayer, but we can't get to the temple to do it. What are we doing? So Howie, thank you for the impetus, because we got it together with the help from Karen Goddard, who's just amazing. And so if you go to the TRT website, you'll see a section for healing resources. And one thing is something you can print out or you can PDF and you can send to someone that says, hey, I was thinking about you and praying for you. And it's there for you to take advantage of. I think it really helps as much as it helps to pray for someone. I think it helps people to know they're being prayed for. And this is a really nice way, and it's open to anyone that wants. Take advantage of it. Send it to someone you love, someone you're thinking of, and let them know. So Howie, thank you very much for that. We really, really appreciate it. Anyone else has good ideas? Let us know. That's where most of our ideas were stolen from someone. So let us know what the idea is, and we'll steal it. I promise.
And one last announcement. We have our last 2 bereavement groups with me on June 3rd and June 17th. And then we will switch over and we will be with Jen Herzog, who is going to be taking over our bereavement group as the facilitator. And I hope that people will continue, because it really is a wonderful group of human beings. It really is.
So we turn now to Kaddish. And I'm going to read, right, you're doing that first. Right. Where is it? Look.
Page 595.
595 is Yesh Kochavim, a song which Shira chose for Memorial Day in particular. And so what we're going to do is say the names of those that we're remembering as a community, and then give you the opportunity to add names of your own. Then we will sing Yesh Kochavim and rise for Kaddish. No. This week, we mark the Shloshim of Stephen Kaufman, husband of Ellen Kaufman, father of Liza Menahan and Adam Kaufman, and member of Temple Rodeph Torah. And Edwin M. Joseph, father of David Joseph, and Hedda Sheck, member of Temple Rodeph Torah. And we remember those whose yahrzeits occurred during this week. Saul Feigenbaum, Fanny Quint, Catherine Ryback, Ian Neil Komar, Sidney Rothman, Yosef Smilovici, Seymour Kleiner, Bertha Wilson, Eleanor Caruso, Morris Friedman, Betty Colin, Melvin Aptaker, and Murray Buckhalter. Now I will unmute everyone and ask you please to say together as a group the names of those.
Larry Piccarello.
Father as well as my beloved wife, Selena.
Yes, pick up that trip. That's a San Luis Obispo trip with over $7,000.
We continue on page 595 with the singing of Yesh Kochavim in the English. There are stars up above, so far away we only see their light. Long, long after the star itself is gone. And so it is with people that we loved. Their memories keep on shining ever brightly, though their time with us is done. But the stars that light up the darkest night, these are lights that guide us as we live our days. These are the ways we remember as we live our days. These are the ways we remember, we remember, we remember, we remember.
Page 598, please rise if you're able. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, ועלמא דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון ובימיכון, ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך לעולם ולעלמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר, ויתרומם, ויתנשא, ויתהדר, ויתעלה, ויתהלל, שמי קדושה בריחו. לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, ואמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all Israel and to all the world, to which we say, Amen.
עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו Amen.
Let's sit down so we can see each other a little better.
And for our final song, I was actually thinking of God Bless America, but I remember very distinctly Hubert Humphrey talking about why he thought America the Beautiful was the song that should have been our anthem. And I've always thought that. And I don't know why I love it, because he said it, I thought of it. I was 12 at the time. Who knows? I have no idea. But 681, America the Beautiful. Please join me. Actually, the first two verses, and then the first two verses. I was going to do the last words, but the first two verses, and then the second to last. Oh, beautiful for Patriot Dream.
That's one verse. That's two.
Really?
First verse and the last verse.
Okay.
There we go.
There we go.
Good.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of green, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed your grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood and sisterhood from sea to shining sea. Oh, beautiful for Patriot's Dream, for the seas beyond the years, thine alabaster cities gleam, undimmed by human tears. America, America, God shed your grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood
The problem with the Star-Spangled Banner is that it's the anthem of a battleship. America the Beautiful is an anthem of Cork. Dear God, help us to understand that with power comes responsibility, and with great power comes great responsibility. May we appreciate our ancestors who fought to keep Judaism alive. And may we appreciate our ancestors who suffered quietly to keep Judaism alive. May we pick up their legacy. May we combine the power of the battleship with the gentleness of the cork, and perhaps find a new era for Jewish life.
Amen.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
We will unmute everyone. We hope you'll stay in schmooze. Have a wonderful, wonderful Shabbat.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you.
Shalom.
Shalom, everyone.
Shalom.
Seeing everyone.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat. Weekend, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Stay safe.
Happy Memorial Day.
Happy
Memorial Day. Happy Memorial Day.
Thank you.
Good to see everybody.
Good Shabbos, everyone.
Great to see everybody.
Bye-bye.
Good to see everybody.
Bye-bye.
Good to see everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Have no money to try to get someone you think of.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Somebody's got something on in the background.
Yeah, one in and going out of here.
The television or something.
That's it. Ready to go?
Okay.
All right. Let's go.
Go again if you want to. It's your call. You have 1800. I would like to solve. Okay. You are strained by the door.
Bye. Bye.
Sorry, I was having flashbacks to partying with those guys. Man. $1,800 that round. You have $2,800. And again, everybody has some money, but someone's going to go to the most round. Come back, see how this plays itself out.
Only a few of us left.
For 3 generations, Nikolai's commitment to quality has been our #1 priority. From our state-of-the-art manufacturing to our 2-step paint shield technology with full color base and ultra color enhanced surface. Our cutting-edge designs and process ensures our pavers are the best in the industry.
Oh, well.
This way, your family can experience what our family intended them for. Nikolai Paving Stone, your only choice for outdoor living. Ask for it by name. You'll see the difference. What time is it? My wife never gets home in time to see little man go to sleep. Her bus stop is a mile away. I wish I could at least walk home with her. I'm completing the 2020 census for my family. My response can impact how public funding is spent in my community. That could mean education for little man and a closer bus stop for her.
Hey, shape your future. Start here. Complete the census at 2020census.gov.
Rain has moved in, but can the holiday weekend be safe? AccuWeather at 11. Oh, it's just in time here for the prize puzzle. Phrase is the category for it. There it is, and Wes, your turn to start. 600. T. You got it. 2 T's. H. There is no H. Kristen.
Chocolate skillet.
2 R's. What?
Not a recipe, but a recommendation. I love the sauce for an easy, quick,
No,
lazy dinner. Made some cilantro, lime, cauliflower rice.
900.
Taco skillet sauce. With shrimp. Looks good.
Yeah. You got it. 1 eye. Yeah. Oh. Okay. 4-0. Yeah.
I like to buy a vowel. You?
This person says they
One
marinate
noodle,
the
there you
chicken
go.
with teriyaki sauce for a few days. Use Wegmans teriyaki sauce.
Yes, there's a B.
Hubby won't eat the vegetarian cauliflower rice, so I make vegetarian rice and I make
Wait a minute,
regular.
how do you make vegetarian rice? It's rice.
Hubby won't eat the cauliflower rice remade.
She's somewhere between a good player and a nervous breakdown. I can't
So I
decide.
make
I don't know
hubby his own
what the range is there. Hey, you're
I
going
guess
to Costa
he
Rica.
won't eat vegetarian. He won't eat cauliflower. Yeah, I agree.
Indulge yourself at Costa Rica's award-winning Crocodile Bay Resort. Located on the magnificent Osa Peninsula, experience wildlife in its natural habitat, world-class sport fishing, eco-adventure tours, and our rainforest spa. $9,020. This is how we would be played in an alternate universe. $9,820. Listen, I'm kidding because you're doing great. $21,320 she has, and we have a message you will be back. We're making it exciting. Yeah. Do you have concerns about mild memory loss related to aging? Privagen is the #1 pharmacist-recommended memory support brand. Privagen, healthier brain, better life. Mattress Firm's Rest Assured Promise checks all the sleep boxes. Contactless shopping 24/7 with a sleep expert. Check. Special financing. Check. Free delivery to your door. Check. A king-size mattress for the price of a queen plus a free adjustable base. Check. Mattress Firm. 0. The smallest number can now make for the biggest savings at Hyundai. With 0 interest for up to 84 months. 0 payments for 90 days. And thanks to Hyundai Insurance, 0 worries with 3 years of complimentary maintenance. Leaving 0 excuses to not be driving your new Hyundai by Memorial Day. Get an Elantra for 0% APR for 72 months or lease for only $119 a month. Now during the Memorial Day sales event. It's Mattress Firm's Memorial Day sale. Save up to $500 when you get a king mattress for the price of a queen or a queen for a twin. Plus, get a free adjustable base when you spend just $6.99. Only at Mattress Firm. That's right, it's triple toss-up time, 3 puzzles, same category for each, and each one worth $2,000. That's what someone score per half. What are you doing? The category of the night, and here's puzzle 1. Kristen.
Starting my car.
You have double your money at $4,000. Well, you might as well keep it going. Let's see how it goes. Here's the second of our 3. Wes.
Shifting into gear.
Yeah, he gets the 2,000. One more chance here in our What Are You Doing? And also a chance to start the next round. Here we go. Lori. Everybody else.
I didn't know that.
Sitting in traffic.
There you go.
You're not allowed to shift gear these days, but you should wind it up.
Theater is the category for this next round, and
I thought I might find some I was able that I might somewhere else. 27 states in the US allow beer to ship.
I think I should beer here on the
No T, Lori.
I mean, not for you, but for Arjun I did.
Really?
Yeah,
Beer?
from Germany.
Really?
Yeah, I paid a lot of money for shipping.
Wes.
H.
Oh, yeah, you can.
H, Kristen.
As long as it's from within the state. You can't ship from outside the state. How far is Union from here?
Union, New York. 4